check with all everybody. I want y'all to know, like, this is the third press conference in 36 hours, maybe. Um, and I want you to know that Tyler Bridges, from now, he gets perfect attendance. I'm going to start taking perfect attendance records. Huh? Pipe, you have to step it up. Okay, all right. Good afternoon. It is a great afternoon. I want to first start by thanking President Trump, Secretary Robert Kennedy, Dr. Oz, our congressional delegation. This, you are seeing the portions of the big, beautiful bill in action right here in Louisiana. And I want to take just a minute to brag on Secretary Greenstein and his staff over at LDH. Because the president and Congress recognized the importance of rural health care, right? I can appreciate that because I grew up in a rural parish. There is a lot of rural parishes in Louisiana, although there are a lot of rural parishes in Louisiana that are experiencing some great economic opportunity right now. And this is only going to further help them as well. I see many members of the legislature that are here today, many of those in rural Louisiana. And so it's a great day for them as well. We are focused on improving outcomes in Louisiana. And with the help of the president and the portions of the big, beautiful bill that Congress placed in there, we are working to fix the challenges that have existed here in the state for too long. And so because of that, it's an exciting day in Louisiana. And it should be an exciting day that puts smiles on over 1 million people in Louisiana, because over 1 million of our residents live in rural communities around Louisiana. When I became governor, I promised to transform healthcare in Louisiana, to move people from dependence to independence. In fact, we've taken over 100,000, look at him smile. We've taken over 100,000 people off of the Medicaid rolls that have shifted from government-sponsored healthcare to private healthcare. Why? Because they've been able to accept the great opportunities and the jobs that are there and move themselves off of the government payroll. That is the ultimate goal here. We have been making tremendous progress in that space, and today's announcement is a huge, major step forward in delivering that promise. Of course, again, I want to thank a couple of other people as well. Besides, as I mentioned, Secretary Greenstein and his great team at LDH, who secured $1 billion. This is $1 billion out of the big, beautiful bill has been secured by Louisiana, not just because it's Louisiana, because we got a great team. We got an unbelievable team over at LDH that understood. In fact, I get calls. I got a call over the weekend from Dr. Oz, or Bobby will call me and say, we want to know if Louisiana's interested in this. We want to know if you can do this. Or they will call and thank and say, we cannot believe that your LDH responded as fast as we did. I think we're one of five, how many states? I don't know. Bruce, you can tell them who've actually secured the grants.
For this will be 7.
This will be 7. But we were first, right?
Oh, yeah.
See, we were number 1. That's what I thought. Okay. And then, of course, I want to thank our Surgeon General, Evelyn Griffin, who's done an outstanding job in helping us put this together. And interestingly enough, we have our Secretary of Economic Development, who seems to be everywhere, Susan Bourgeois. And people are probably scratching their head and said, why is the Secretary of Economic Development in a rural healthcare press announcement? Well, we're going to tell you about that. Because today I'm proud to announce a new statewide initiative focused on accelerating healthcare initiatives and expanding healthcare access in rural Louisiana. And it's called the Rural Tech Catalyst Fund. It's an initiative that will be a joint effort between the Louisiana Department of Health and the Louisiana Department of Economic Development and Louisiana Innovation, which is inside of the Department of Economic Development, with one clear mission: improving healthcare outcomes, strengthening sustainability, and increasing access in our rural communities. This is huge. And I want to say this. Our cabinet has done an exceptional job of learning to integrate services, not not to basically say, hey, this is my sandbox, don't come play in it. They have done an unbelievable job of saying, guess what? We don't have one sandbox here in the state, multiple sandboxes in the state. We've got one, and everybody gets to play in it. And everybody gets to do a little bit of what they do best to fully support the people of the state. And guess what? That is why Louisiana is leading. I can't, I keep saying this again and again, like people out there, like you just don't understand. Louisiana is leading in all kinds of metrics. And when you think about where we were 4 years ago, where we were 10 years ago, where we've been over the last 30 years, I mean, people forget the bad. Believe you me, I can show you some pictures. And it's not the pictures you want to see, but I can tell you that we have unbelievable cabinet members that are working with unbelievable civil servants in state government that are moving Louisiana forward. We're only one of a handful of states in the entire country selected to receive this federal funding from CMS. Let me say this again. Louisiana is only one of only a handful of states in the entire country that is getting this opportunity. In fact, this is the best one. We are the only state, I think, in the SEC. I think that's what certainly the Gulf South. It says Gulf South. I figure that's the SEC.
Maybe Georgia has it.
Maybe Georgia. They just don't have it. They don't. Maybe. They're still behind. They wasn't the first. Today, more than 1.1 million Louisianians, as I said, live in rural communities. And for those folks who live in bigger cities, you literally take for granted, okay, the healthcare access that you have when you think about little bitty towns around Louisiana, like Boyce or Mansfield or Wynn, and understand that they don't have the immediate access to healthcare that folks say, like in Baton Rouge or Lafayette or New Orleans or some of our other cities as well. For too many people, healthcare is not just inconvenient, it's out of reach. And that's exactly why we're making this announcement today. This announcement will expand workforce capacity in rural healthcare because we know we've got a workforce deficit, support startup growth and private investment. Let me go back to the workforce portion. How many times have I spoken to citizens in rural Louisiana who are sad to see their child get into the medical field and then only to leave their community? Why? Because there's not an opportunity there. This gives people an opportunity to stay there. I know some of the big city folks don't think about it, but like folks in rural communities actually like the rural communities, and I'd like to stay there. There's just no opportunity. So this helps as well. It's going to strengthen healthcare technology. The healthcare technology infrastructure is going to create pathways for companies to pilot and scale solutions in these rural communities. And then it's going to build partnerships among government agencies, healthcare providers, and industry leaders. We understand that healthcare outcomes and economic development actually go hand in hand. We've been saying that all along. Remember, I started off saying public safety, education, economic development, great tax policy. All of those things make Louisiana successful, and they're paying off. And this is an integral component to it, so that now when businesses want to come to rural Louisiana, there'll be a healthcare answer for them. So I am confident that the Rural Tech Catalyst Fund will position our state as a destination for healthcare initiatives and rural investment for years to come. And so, like I said, today's another great day in Louisiana, especially in rural Louisiana. And now I'd like to turn it over to Secretary Greenstein to kind of walk through the program.
All right. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. I want to take a minute just to kind of point out the meta points that the governor just brought up, because there are several levels of what's going on here. There is definitely a change in the way state government works and works together. Last year, we were at this podium after announcing the one-door bill. Representative Baralt championed in the legislature that brought together social service agencies and our workforce agency together working to know that moving people from dependence to independence meant more than just slogans, but actually helping people get jobs and get the skills necessary. And that was and is on its way to be very successful. Today are the workings together. It's the partnership of two agencies that you don't often see on the same marquee. So LED to us equals great job opportunities, economic development. It is prosperity for communities across the state, which makes our job easier. We love to help people move from being on, say, Medicaid, for example, to get a Blue Cross Blue Shield or another private health insurance policy because they have a great job. Today, we're going to talk about using the two specializations of these departments. One, we know how to do healthcare. Two, they know how to make investments, and you've seen it many times before. And today, that's what we're announcing. This is the opening, and it happens today, of the Rural Tech Catalyst Fund. This is part, as the governor mentioned, of the overall Rural Health Transformation Program, which we announced in the beginning of January. Again, we're the top 3 award getters in the state, and this will bring in $1.042 billion over the next 5 years. We actually have opportunities to earn additional money over the years if we perform better than other states. So our team really is focused on trying to capture market share award from other states. Let that be a warning to the others around us. The Rural Tech Catalyst Fund that launches today is a partnership between the Department of Health and the Louisiana Economic Development. It represents a first-of-its-kind investment in rural healthcare innovation through this broader $1 billion transformation program. The initiative is structured as 5-year, approximately $1 million a year effort with $100 million effort with up to $20 million of capital deployed each year. It supports early stage and growth stage healthcare technology companies focused on chronic disease, healthcare access, workforce shortages, telehealth, care coordination, and rural health outcomes. Louisiana is one of only 7 states in the country pursuing this kind of healthcare innovation and technology catalyst model through a rural transformation overall strategy, positioning the state as a national leader in public-private collaboration and rural healthcare modernization. The Rural Tech Catalyst Fund is expected to support dozens of companies over the life of the program through milestone-based awards of up to $3 million per company, while leveraging private investment and strategic partnerships to accelerate measurable healthcare and economic impact for Louisiana's 1.1 million residents, rural residents. Over 100 companies have already expressed their interest in being part of this program. The companies applying will be evaluated by 2 teams. LED will oversee financial viability, and LDH will be in charge of clinical components. We encourage any company that is under $50 million in investment today, under 10 years old in operations, and based in the US to apply. We invite you to come to Louisiana and help us modernize and transform rural healthcare. Our website is open. We tested it out before we came here. The website address is la.io/rural. Fantastic website. You'll get a lot of details, and then hopefully we'll have overwhelming demand. It'll be tough to find the best ones, best companies, but we will. Now I'd like to invite up our Surgeon General.
Hi, everyone. Having come from a small rural town, my first exposure to the challenges of access to healthcare was when I saw one of my best friends suffer a ruptured appendix, and it took hours to get her to the operating room. So I keep this in mind now that I serve on the Rural Health Steering Committee for Louisiana Department of Health. We work towards innovative solutions for access to care for our roughly 1/3 rural population for Louisiana. Rural patients often face significant barriers to healthcare: longer travel times, provider shortages, delayed treatment, and limited access to specialists and preventative services. So innovation can help close those gaps by bringing care closer to where patients live. We are particularly interested in solutions that improve access, strengthen chronic disease management, support maternal and behavioral health, and help providers deliver care more efficiently in rural settings. But technology alone, of course, cannot solve these challenges. Our approaches must be practical, scalable, and designed around the real needs of rural patients, providers, and communities. Rural healthcare providers are already doing extraordinary work with their limited resources. Our goal is to support them and to provide tools and partnerships that can improve care delivery and reduce strain on local systems. So this Rural Tech Catalyst Fund gives Louisiana an opportunity to pilot and scale solutions that can have an immediate and measurable impact on patient outcomes. We want patients to receive the right care at the right time, regardless of where they live. So better healthcare access in rural communities ultimately means earlier intervention, better management of chronic disease, fewer preventable complications, and healthier families. So listening to rural providers and communities will remain our central work at this time. The best approaches will reflect the realities of patients and providers and what they face every day. So this effort is about building sustainable healthcare systems that improve quality of care, quality of life for rural Louisianians. So let's build a resilient Louisiana. So thank you, and I have the pleasure of introducing Susan Bourgeois from Louisiana Economic Development.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank y'all. I think historically we used to say politics makes for strange bedfellows. And I think now in this administration, we call that a whole of government approach. And I think you're seeing that today. It is yet another example of how, the governor has led on this issue where we are aligning agencies and efforts around, to oversimplify it, what we're best at, right? When Bruce and his team did a remarkable job landing this grant for the state to have the impact on rural healthcare that it will, it also became very clear to the LDH team early on that they were best at delivering healthcare solutions, right, as they should be. And so they looked to us to see where our capacity was to help with deploying capital. And I think it's a really important component of our work that we don't talk about as much. I love all the press conferences I get to go to with my boss, but typically what we're announcing are big projects thankfully with B's attached to those, billions, obviously, but that's about the businesses we're attracting here typically, or the ones we're expanding here. We don't talk nearly as much about the ones we're growing here. And that's what we're also really good at. We have an entire vertical. It's our innovation vertical. Josh Flegg and his team do a remarkable job in that work. We have already deployed in 2025 alone, we have deployed $50 million of new startup capital to companies that are here trying to grow, trying to scale, and trying to become the next big thing in Louisiana. And so when LDH reached out to us and said, how can we join sort of in our best stat roles? What can this become? It just made an immense amount of sense. So we're really grateful to be part of this effort. We're grateful to add what we're best at as we come alongside our wonderful partners at LDH and the governor's leadership to, as they have all said, just to deliver more and better results for all our citizens, but in this context, particularly the 1 million people who live in rural Louisiana. So if y'all have specific questions about the program, I know Bruce and Josh from our team would be happy to answer them. But we're just really grateful, certainly to the governor and to the LDH team for our ability to participate and add to this effort.
Okay, any questions?
As I understand it, this money has to be spent by September 30th, right? And if so, with a limited amount of time, how can you make sure that the money is spent well?
Perfect question. We don't often talk about having to spend money quickly. We're usually as stingy about spending it as possible. But in this case, we do have a shot clock on the money being obligated, not necessarily spent. We run on the federal fiscal year. Remember, we just got the announcement that we won the award right around New Year's, and it was maybe 8 weeks, 7 weeks until we actually started to receive the money. We've been working in a work back schedule so that we'll be able to make awards and have assurances that it's being delivered properly and then monitored that it's being spent properly. Financial accounting, both for the dollars on the way out, is of paramount interest, and then monitoring on an ongoing basis that the integrity of its spend is also at the highest level of importance. And that's just this year, probably the most rushed this year. But then over the next 5 years, with 1 year lag, we'll have a year to spend the fifth year's dollars that we get. That will be through the same lens. Each of the year's discrete dollars, so for this fund, around 20 million, we'll get that 1 year to obligate the money. Once we make awards, that counts as the obligation, and then the dollars can go out thereafter.
And just to follow up on that, I will remind everyone, I have all the confidence in the world in Bruce's team. It was under Bruce's leadership, as you remember, right before Thanksgiving, when the government was shut down and food stamps were not getting out, that they literally were able to juggle all of the money that wasn't there with the money that we gave them to overlay it out, and made sure that no one went without the food stamps that they needed. And so again, I think that this just shows you that this organization, they have the capacity to not only scale it, but to scale it with speed as well. So great question. Any other questions?
Governor, I have a question about teacher pay. So legislators have told us that there's a plan that's been floated to them. After the session ends, you would issue an executive order asking them for permission to take $150 million out of the MFP, and they would have to vote for this by a 2/3 majority in both chambers. And that's the money that would be used to extend the stipends and avoid a teacher pay cut. Is that an option that's on the table for solving that problem?
Well, here's what I'll tell you. The Senate, I think, passed the budget last night, I think it was,
Yeah.
right? I think the House is in the process of concurring. It hasn't gotten to me yet. I'm not going to make any comments about that until I have an opportunity to at least review the budget over the weekend. What I will tell you is that the good news today in regards to teachers is that teachers that live in rural areas are going to get better healthcare access.
Any other
Any-
questions?
yeah.
I got one. I'm Walter. I'm up with EMS Reform. I've been a paramedic for 37 years. Rural healthcare is a big issue. Caterpillar Parish was with 8 months without an ambulance service. Now, how would this be involved towards the parishes? Will it be like a municipal service, or we haven't thought about it?
Well, first of all, thank you for what you do. It's critical. I don't think we have a silver bullet for moving patients, either non-emergent transportation or for EMS. Many locales across the state struggle with appropriate coverage and how to finance it. I can tell you there will be, think about it in two ways. In other parts of the Rural Health Transformation Program, there are monies that'll be made available in myriad ways. We'll have to kind of dial in exactly what can address EMS funding specific issues. And it may be net new EMS services, or it may be to help through other providers to fund EMS services. So that's one piece. In the Rural Health, the Rural Tech Catalyst Fund, we expect that there are companies that have innovative models that either on the technology platform side, how to distribute call in a more efficient manner, or how to bring additional technology services to help enhance what EMS does. Think telehealth services, maybe telestroke inside facilities, and also to think about mobile services that could be shared across different parts of the state. Think if there's a group that does neuro, derm, hematology, that we don't have adequate coverage in many places, and that's why a lot of patient transfers need to happen. Part of the overall goal, not part of, the overall goal is sustainability for rural providers in rural parts of the state. So when we think about what destabilizes providers in some parts, lack of access to specialty care often comes up as among the top or the top reason. That's one of the areas that we're trying to address. And you can imagine by bringing specialists to rural areas, then rural providers don't lose their patients to referrals to the suburban or urban hospitals. I didn't answer your question exactly, but this has been, we've whiteboarded this out. It is one of our primary concerns. Part of what we run is a very open, collaborative environment. So I hope you'll come to some of our meetings. where we get to whiteboard solutions to address these issues. And also, if you are working with any companies that are interested in applying, I highly encourage EMS to be part of what we think about for the Tech Catalyst Fund.
Again, any other questions?
Accountability aspects of this to make sure that these companies, innovators, startups are using the funds in the right ways?
Yeah, on the front end and back end. So the rigorous evaluation process, again, is split between clinical, and our Surgeon General is on the clinical team with other clinicians, and then LED from the diligence on the financial feasibility side. So we know from an evaluation standpoint, we're going to have best-in-class determinations. From there, our significant financial controls kick in. So we're constantly monitoring these companies. Think about us making investments in them as if we sat on their board of directors. We're going to be intimately involved. Moreover, these are, as I mentioned, milestone payments. So they don't get everything all up front. They get some, and then we see progress. We do some more. We see outcomes. We do some more. But we make the commitment initially. Great question. And I just want everybody to feel very confident that strong internal financial controls over this program are being established today. And there will be an enormous amount of integrity. We'll be publishing reports on a periodic basis. You'll get a good look at what our investments are turning into for health outcomes and the vitality of these companies to come practice.
Well, thank you. I think it's another great day in Louisiana, especially for rural America and for teachers in rural Louisiana. Thank you.